So throughout the 15 weeks of online learning, these are all of the different things that I use to create my videos. However, you will be happy to know that this, my camera that I use to create my normal YouTube videos, is something that quickly got phased out. And I started to move towards this that we're going to talk about soon, and using this less. Realistically, you only really need this, but we're going to jump straight into the video now. Hey team, I hope you're well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Splice. I teach travel and sometimes triumph, and this is going to be a teach video. I'm going to tell you how I record and edit my videos for online distance learning. If you notice my camera behind me, it's because I'm filming everything on my phone. I'm trying to prove to you guys that you can create videos just using your phone, which also makes it a little bit easier. Now, before the summer holidays, I created a range of different lessons as part of my 15 weeks of online distance learning, and it had its challenges. Initially, I used this camera to create pretty much everything. Now, within the first 2 to 3 weeks, I experienced burnout because it would take me quite a lot of effort to set this up, use the SD cards, and it took the joy out of actually creating YouTube videos too. So what I found is that I was looking for a system that could make creating YouTube videos that little bit more efficient, and I found it just using my phone. So what I want to do is talk about how I create my asynchronous or on-demand learning videos for the children to learn from. We're going to talk about how I record them, how I edit them, and then ultimately how I upload those videos to Google Classroom or any other learning platforms that you may use. So yeah, to start off with, I'm recording, as you can see here, just on my mobile. To give you a bit of experience of what this looks like, this is a bit of a tripod. It's a mobile tripod, and you can see it goes up. It's got this little system here that sort of turns, and it means that I can bring this down, and it works really well. Now, using the tilting combination, what I can now do is start to create a bit of a whiteboard effect so that I can model work to children. So you can see I've got it tilted there, and I've got this whiteboard effect going on too. So the next step of the learning would then be to model certain mathematical things that I want the children to do. I use these Berol pens. I've linked them in bio. I absolutely love these. And yeah, I can model whatever I want the children to do then. Don't judge the handwriting. And we'll draw a little thumb because that's what you guys need to do. So yeah, move on to the next step. So once I've recorded myself and a bit of an introduction to the lesson, and then did a bit of modeling on the whiteboard regarding whatever lesson it may be, then I want to explicitly explain what the children's activity is going to be using the screen that you can see here. Now, at the moment, I'm using Screencasting, and I use that religiously throughout the whole 15 weeks of online distance learning. I absolutely love this. Now, one thing I will say is that there's a 5-minute limit now because I'm using the free version, and I generally find that's enough anyway, because I try and keep the recordings quite short to keep the children's attention as much as possible. If you've not seen all the different Google Chrome extensions before, I've made a full video on that. I highly recommend that too. So yeah, as you can see, I'm recording at the moment. If you click onto it, there'll be a record section. I highly recommend recording the full screen, because then if you need to switch between tabs, which you will most likely need to do in some cases, then you can do that on the full screen mode. There's been times where I haven't done that and I've had to go back and refilm things. So just be cautious about that too. So Screencasting, fantastic. And then as you can see here, I would model whatever activity the children are going to do. In this case, it's the Bitmoji locker. I'd explain how to add the different Bitmojis in. And yeah, so then once you've done that, the next step is then making sure that all the footage is in one place for you to then be able to edit. Now, to do that, it's really straightforward. Okay, so now I'm showing you what I would do if I didn't have Apple MacBooks and iPhones. So I would upload it to the Google Drive, and then I would bring all the footage together so that I can edit it on my phone. Now, I have an iPhone and MacBook so that I can quickly airdrop things, and it makes things that a little bit more efficient. Otherwise, yeah, Google Drive works really well too. But for me personally, I'm just going to simply airdrop these couple of clips so that then I can start the editing process. Now, if you're using an Android device, then there's a range of editing software that you can use. I'm going to be talking about Splice and iMovies that are only available on Apple. But if you're using Android, you can use KineMaster, and there's a GoPro version called Quick 2. But we're going to have a look at what you would do to use Splice and then iMovies is generally pretty straightforward to use anyway. But yeah, Splice was the one that I really found the most useful and the one that I used the most for speed and efficiency. So first world problems, I obviously only have one phone, so to show you what I'm doing on my phone that I'd normally be recording with, I've taken my camera down and I'll put a pop-up here so that I can show you what I'm doing on my phone. So screen record on, and yeah, so the application that I chose to use was Splice. Now Splice is fantastic because it brings things together for you, it splices it if you like. iMovies does do something similar, it's just personal preference. I just chose to use Splice, but yeah, they both work pretty well equally. So you're going to go onto new project and choose the footage that you want to use. So I'm going to choose a range of different footage here. So I wanted that one, that one, that one. Now, if I was to do it in order, because that's important too, I started off with this bit of film, then I went into my introduction, which was that one, I had a couple of takes with that one, then I went into talking about what I was using, I think, and how my GoPro sets up, then I went into telling you guys to subscribe, then I think I went there, and then obviously once this video footage finishes, I'll then have to edit that and transport that through too. So once you've done that, you're going to press next. You're going to call the project whatever you need to call it. So let's call it record, if I can type properly, and edit. And then different way that we want it. We don't want it to be portrait, we want it to be landscape. We're going to go landscape there, create. And we just wait for it to create that video. So now you can see through the footage all the different bits of footage, and yeah, I'm going to show you some of the tools that you can use there. Now you can see straight away that's not quite right, so I'm going to have to change that to the right setting. That's in landscape. So yeah, let's get going with it. So the first thing we're going to need to do is just look at some of the footage, and you can see with this one here, I don't want me walking in, I want to start there. So straight away, I'm going to click on that tape, and I'm just going to drag that back to where I come in. There, done. And on the next part here, there was a little bit of a clip where it was not quite filmed right. So this one here, I need to adjust this. I can't remember if it's crop or adjust. So crop, and we're going to rotate it, just using my fingers, just so that it fits into that landscape mode there. And then we will leave that one. And then once we've gone through that, this part here, again, we're going to change that around so that it fits in. My fingers all over the place, so it fits in like that. And then we're going to go onto this part here, and it's just all about adding and chopping those little bits off that you need to chop off. Now, what I like about this is that this part here, when I do the Teach, Travel, Triumph, if you don't know who I am, my name's Splice, I teach travel, sometimes Triumph. Now, I won't be able to do it the same way as what I would do in my video editing software, but I'm just going to add in some text here. Now, forget about the yellow box. Travel Triumph. Wouldn't it be awkward if I spelt it wrong? There we go, autocorrect for the win. And I'm just going to resize that over here. Now I can obviously change the font color as well using this, change the font type, change all sorts of different things about the font. I could have a background if I wanted to, change the opacity. So what I want is, well, if you don't know who I am, my name's Splice, I teach. Now I want it to be there. Now if you need to, you can just tap off onto the text in the video. So the teach video, and then it would pop off. So then, I hope you all, if you don't know who I am, my name's Splice, I teach Drop and sometimes Track, and this is going to be a teach video. I'm going to tell you, and I'll need to tinker around with the text a little bit more so that I can then get the text change as I need it, and then on the end of these, as I finish talking, I want that bit there to just come off a little bit there. So then I'll just tinker around with those. Now, if I wanted to, I can also add all sorts of effects in, something that the children don't really appreciate. Music was something that the children would often comment on when I actually had the live meetings. They said, oh, I like the music for your video this week, Mr. Blakemore. And to add that in, you've got music there, and there's a whole range of different music. I quite like the happy tracks. Just make sure you choose the right ones, listen to it, make sure it's not inappropriate, but a lot of them are musical background ones anyway, without vocals. So just, yeah, I'll leave it on to you. Cheer up, that one works. And you can add that in too. I'm not going to add anything at the moment because I'm trying to show you all the different functions. You can also add in sounds. You can add in, which is really effective, voice. So if you've got just a clip, then you can, or a photo, you could add a bit of a voiceover for that photo. Or if you've got a photo that you're trying to add maybe some descriptive narrative behind, you can add that into. Sound effects, if you wanted to. It's something I've not actually used, to be fair. One of the things you can also do is change the volume as well. So if you have your music that's a little bit too loud, then you can click on the music and change the volume so it's not too loud for the children. Yeah, there's an absolute abundance of different things that you can do with this. Split is good because you can split the footage. That way you can drag middle parts and crop out certain sections if you need to. Or you can duplicate it, or all sorts of different things basically. So there's lots of different functionality that you can use with this too. And once you've done that, then you then click this button up here and save it, basically is what you would do. You can share it as well straight to your Google Drive. You'd save it then once you've done that. So I'll show you how to share it once I've actually finished tinkering around with the video, but hopefully that shows you some of the basics that you can use with this footage. It's very, very effective and something that I really did enjoy using. So then through Google Classroom, what you can do is create an assignment. So if I was to call it record and edit, if you've created your video on your phone, you can then save it to Google Drive and then upload it potentially through Google Classroom on your phone too. You can do everything basically through your phone is what I'm trying to suggest. I'm on my computer now so that it's in the landscape. Then once you've done that, you would then add it in as a file. Obviously, if you've already added it into Google Drive, I find that process to be even quicker because it's already uploaded to Google Drive too. So Google Drive is the most efficient way to do these things. So then you can see I've uploaded the video to the thing and students can view the file. I then pick the due date if you use that, topic, and then I'd be most likely to schedule it to, I've made a video on how I share my assignments and things like that before. Feel free to check that one out. Make sure you give it instructions and then you can set it for them, and then the children will be able to access that video that you've created just using your phone. And that marks the end of the video showing you guys how to record and edit videos using only your phone. If you've enjoyed it, feel free to like it. That's always really appreciated. If you know this video is going to be useful to someone, share it with them. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them too. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. But until the next time, guys,